Okay, we will call to order the regular city council meeting for September 8th, 2015. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Greer.
Here.
Council members Ekstrom is excused. Councilmember Brown is excused. Councilmember Ketchmar.
Here.
Councilmember Bates.
Here.
Councilmember Weed.
Here.
Councilmember Shiraki.
Here.
Councilmember Frida.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next is the approval of the minutes from the August 17th regular city council meeting and the August 19th Public Works Committee meeting. Are there any corrections? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please? Councilman Bates.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation. We approve the August 17th, 2015 regular city council meeting and the August 19th, 2015 Public Works Committee meeting.
Second.
Second from Councilman Weed. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates.
Aye.
Councilmember Weed.
Aye.
Councilmember Ketchmar.
Aye.
Councilmember Frida.
Aye.
Councilmember Shiraki.
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Are there any council member announcements? Councilman Bates.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we have a general government meeting tomorrow, September 9th at 4 p.m. here.
Any others? Okay, next we'll go to the adoption of the agenda and the consent agenda. The administrator's not here this evening. Kathy, will you go over the consent agenda, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. First on the consent agenda is a temporary street closure, and this was discussed and recommended at the 819 Public Works Committee. It's an application to close Greenwood Avenue between 8th and 9th Streets on Saturday, September 26th, from 2 p.m. until midnight. This is for a neighborhood gathering. The next on the consent agenda is another temporary street closure, which was also discussed and recommended at the 819 Public Works Committee meeting, is for the closure of 5th Street between the alley north of Main Street to Macon Avenue on Saturday, September 19th from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. This is for the annual Bikes and Brews event sponsored by Fremont Adventure Recreation. Next is the authorization of the mayor's signature on an agreement to extend the extraterritorial water service agreement as the current 15-year contract to sell finished water to Orchard Park expired on August 31st of this year. It needs to be extended. This extension will provide for the additional 15 years so that the city may continue servicing Orchard Park with water, and this extension will be retroactive to September 1st. The next on the agenda is to approve the Combined Regional Communications Authority's 2015 budget and authorize the mayor's signature to a letter outlining certain recommendations of City Council. This was discussed and recommended at the August 19th Public Works Committee meeting. City Council's approval of this budget is a requirement within the master agreement with CRCA. Also recommended by the committee was to have the mayor send a letter on behalf of City Council to CRCA outlining certain recommendations. So with that, the next would be the list of bills.
Any additions or corrections? May I have a motion? Councilman Bates.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation. We adopt the agenda and consent agenda or approve it. Second.
Second from Councilman Weed. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates.
Aye.
Councilmember Weed.
Aye.
Councilmember Shiraki.
Aye.
Councilmember Frida. Councilmember Ketchmar.
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Well, there being no administrator, we'll have no administrator's report this evening. Move on to item number 6A, which is a public hearing for zone change at 721 Bar Avenue. I'll open the public hearing and request a staff report from the city planner.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request from Benjamin Guggens at 721 Bar Avenue to rezone his property from R1 to R1A. Notice was posted on the property and published as required by law. The Planning Commission considered this application at their regular meeting on August 18th. They recommended approval in a unanimous vote, and all of the members were present. In 2008, the City Council approved a new zone district called R1A, which is low-density, small lot residential. That district was intended to accommodate single-family homes and accessory structures on small lots that were created before the institution of zoning, and also to accommodate in the future any small lot residential development. In this case, the applicant has provided justification for the rezoning in his application materials, which are in your staff packet. This vacant parcel meets the specifications for R1A, as it must if it's going to be rezoned. It's 5,160 square feet and it's 43 feet wide. We do want to note, however, that this district was created to rezone small lots that were platted prior to the city's adoption of its zoning code. And this particular lot was created after that time, actually in 1999, when that parcel was conveyed to another party that created two illegal and non-conforming lots, both at 721 Bar Avenue and 731 Bar Avenue. The parcels were not subdivided with city approval, and they were non-conforming because neither resulting parcel met the minimum size and lot width standards in R1A. However, as we have talked to Mr. Guggens over time and he has made an application, staff believes that this parcel could be legitimized, if not legalized, because the parcel has changed hands on 2 different occasions prior to him acquiring it and was not identified by the city or the county as an illegal parcel. That's one reason. He's indicated an interest in investing in the community and putting the parcel to use, and would also like to partake in the building incentive program that has a definite end in 2017. The parcel is of a minimum size and width that it does meet the standards for R1A. And if the adjacent property at 731 Bar is abandoned right now, is in a property lien situation, and there is no one who could even participate with him in a proper subdivision at this time. So staff supports the zone change. There has been no response to the notice of city council, of this city council meeting, and the planning commission meeting, which was posted there, and written notice was sent out to adjacent property owners. There actually were a few phone calls. People called. They had no problems with this at all. They simply wanted some clarification about the difference between R1 and R1A. There is, the application is in your packet materials. We have some maps of the zone district and then standards for R1 and R1A. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. The Planning Commission also provided you with the findings of fact and their advisory report, which was to support this rezoning, and the minutes of their meeting are also enclosed. Let me mention also that Mr. Guggens is not able to be here, but his mother is here. I doubt very seriously if she would like to talk about this. I'm sure that she wouldn't be very comfortable doing that. But she is here to support Ben in his absence, and I'd be happy to help you with questions if I can.
Okay. Are there any questions from council? Councilman Ketchmar?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Terry, when I'm looking at this map, I've got an O and an X on these 2 lots, and I think we're talking about the O lot. This is in the overhead photo, the GIS parcel viewer.
That's correct. This is what this is a map that Mr. Guggens provided in his application. So his is the O.
His is the O. So the X property would also be, what is it, 1A?
The X property right next to his is zoned R1, and that will remain R1. We don't have an application to rezone that at the present time because there isn't a responsible owner that we could necessarily approach, and no one has asked for that property to be rezoned.
But it's not going to be big enough for a 1A anymore, is that correct?
It will be big enough for 1A. It isn't large enough for R1.
R1.
And if and when that property becomes redeveloped, at this point, it has an abandoned house on it that probably is due for demolition at some point. I don't know. The shape of the building is in pretty poor shape. So it more than likely would be redeveloped, and we would suggest probably at that time when we're approached for another similar rezoning to happen.
So we couldn't just be expedient and make them both 1As at this point?
My response to that would be no. Be a good idea, but no.
Okay.
Councilman Weed?
Thank you. Looking at the same photo, and maybe I wasn't paying attention, missed it, but there's a structure that appears to straddle the property line between the two parcels.
Yes, that was a garage, and that has since been taken down. The only thing that remains there is a foundation.
Obviously can't be rebuilt on, but,
Right, because it's encroaching.
okay.
Any other questions from council? Oh,
Mayor,
Mr. Havens.
just for the record, Mr. Googans was before the Planning Commission when this matter came before it, and he did testify that he's in agreement with the staff report and the staff recommendation and supports the finding of the grounds that's contained in the ordinance submitted to you, so that our record should reflect that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any comments from the audience? All right, I'll close the public hearing, move on to 6B, which is ordinance number 10, series 2015, first reading. I need 3 to introduce. Councilman Weed, Councilwoman Frida, Councilman Ketchmar. Clerk, read by title, please.
This is a bill for ordinance number 10, series of 2015, an ordinance rezoning certain real property within the city of Canyon City, Colorado, 721 Bar Avenue.
May I have a motion, please? Councilman Weed.
Thank you, Mayor. Members of council, I make the motion to approve the zone change at 721 Bar Avenue from R1 low density to R1A, low density small lot residential.
I'll second that.
Second from Councilman Ketchmar. Any discussion on this motion? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Ketchmar?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharaki?
Aye.
Councilmember Frida?
Aye.
Councilmember Bates?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Item number 7 is resolution number 15, 2015, prioritizing street improvement projects for the proposed 1% sales tax increase. We have a report from the city attorney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and members of council. As council was going through the process of finally arriving at the ordinance that did submit to the electorate, one thing you all voiced at one time or another that you wanted done would be a resolution clarifying what you were doing and why you were doing it, and I believe those matters are set forth in the resolution. So I'll respond to direct questions if you have any, but I've tried to capture what I believed you as a group were saying.
Are there any questions or comments from the council? Councilman Weed.
I'm just going to comment that although this lays out what would be the current top priority list, although I would not expect substantive changes to it, it is possible that some of these streets could change positions in priority of repairs. I would guess based either on actual physical conditions, or it could be funding issues or whatever.
That is correct. What the city engineer in putting together the list of streets that's attached, I believe is Exhibit A to the resolution, tried to do was indicate as a guideline to this council and future councils what streets currently appear to be those in need of first treatment. So that's what the list is, and it won't be followed exactly, is my guess, I think Councilman Weed's guess. But it will be the guideline unless there's a compelling reason to shift to other streets or reprioritize the list of streets. That's the list likely to receive the first treatment.
Any other questions or comments? May I have a motion, please? Councilman Bates?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation that we approve resolution number 15, 2015.
Second?
Second from Councilman Weed. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Councilmember Bates?
Aye.
Councilmember Weed?
Aye.
Councilmember Ketchmark?
Aye.
Councilmember Frida?
Aye.
Councilmember Sharaki?
Aye.
Approved by unanimous vote.
Last on our agenda is citizens' request to speak to city council.
We have received no written request to speak to council on an item particularly not on the agenda.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Damn, it's not even a...